it all starts with Karma Yoga. Essentially begins with Karma Yoga. And what is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is nothing but performing action, doing the karma with the right attitude. And the right attitude is doing whatever we do with Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, dedicating it to the Lord, dedicating it to the higher ideal, and receiving whatever comes our way as Prasada Buddhi, as His benevolence, and as the result of who we dedicated our action to. Whoever that we dedicated the action to, whatever we dedicated the action to, that is giving us the result. This attitude converts our karma to Karma Yoga. Now, action everybody does. We will see later in chapter 3 that actually people are helpless in doing action. Action everybody does. But how can we act intelligently? What is this term, intelligent action? Intelligent action is something whereby when we are acting, the performance in terms of our action, that becomes excellent. And when it becomes excellent, that excellent performances, one after the other, they bring about an unseen benefit. And that benefit is something that gives us that inner purity. Like the polishing of the wall, the story that I gave about the painter and the other spiritual guru, to polish the wall to reflect the painter's painting. So this unseen benefit is polishing and purifying of our mind-intellect instrument. And with this purified mind-intellect instrument, we are able to proceed along the path. This is essentially the art of action or art of living, is called Karma Yoga. And Karma Yoga leads to dexterity in action, which is Karmasu Kaushalam. And then the next step, the second step is Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi means removal of impurities that are there in the mind intellect. We saw that there are two types of impurities. Type 1 of impurities is impurities that makes us feel disturbed by what is happening in our environment. Our response or our reaction to what happens to us, or what is perpetuated to us from whatever is outside of us in the object world. The type 2 impurities are the impurities that are within us, that are essentially sullying our mind-intellect instrument, and because of that, we perpetuate outside that same impurity to the object world, to our environment. And we saw that the primary way these are made, the composition of the second type of impurities, are essentially the Shadripu or the imperfections of the mind. And these were Kama or desire, Krodha or anger, Lobha or greed, Moha or delusion, Madha or pride, and Matsarya or jealousy. We have gone through all this, so I'm not going to spend too much time on all of these. Chitta Shuddhi then leads to Samatvam or equipoise. Remember, we discussed the litmus test. The litmus test, the definite indicator to us that we have attained Chitta Shuddhi, is equipoise. When you see a person who is constantly maintains equanimity, you can say that that person has attained Chitta Shuddhi. Not the tamas, confusion with tamas equanimity. A person who is involved with the world, not tamasic and not involved, but while being involved maintains equanimity, goes through the extremities and maintains equanimity. That kind of a person, detached, involved person. The third step is Chatushtaya. Sadhana Chatushtaya is fourfold practice. And what is it? We saw that the first one was Viveka, which is nothing but discriminating between the Nitya and the Anitya, the permanent and the ephemeral. The second is Vairagya, which is dispassion towards the impermanent, what is not there forever. The third is Sham Adi Shatka Sampatti. Sham and some other elements, which are totally 6. And those are Shama, which is control of the mind, Dhamma, which is control of the senses, Uparama, which is willingness to give up distractions that will keep coming even if there is control of the mind and senses. We saw that earlier in chapter 2. Even for the controlled mind, the mind is going to run away. And how do you control that? That is Uparama, the willingness to give up distractions. Titiksha or forbearance. even if you control your mind, senses, and give up distraction, things will happen. And how are we able to bear it? The fortitude or forbearance, the patience, the endurance. Shraddha, which is dedication and faith, and samadhana, which is ability to focus. And the fourth of the sadhana chatushtaya is mumukshutva, which is desiring only for the ultimate true happiness, desire only for liberation, desire only for tattva jnana. That is mumukshutva. And sadhana chatushtaya leads to one being an adhikari or one being qualified. It is like when you have an MBBS degree, you are allowed to practice as a doctor. So that qualification comes from sadhana chatushtaya. The next step is guru upasadana. Guru upasadana is nothing but reaching the guru and seeking direction, like Arjuna did. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. He asks Bhagavan. That is guru upasadana. So once, I was sitting in this lecture and Javed Akhtar was there, and he said, this is quote unquote, Javed Akhtar quoted, he said, any belief that is devoid of logic, reason, rationale, evidence, or witness, that is faith. And I was sitting there and wondering, what is he talking? Then there won't be any faith in anyone, any belief in anyone. And if you are going to be without faith or without belief, where is guru upasadana? Then as I kept thinking while I came back home, I kind of twisted it was his quote, I just rearranged the words. And that made a lot more sense to me. And that went something like, any belief where logic, reason, rationale, evidence, witness are inherently present, that is faith. So this makes a lot more sense, especially when one is in this spiritual pursuit, because spiritual pursuit requires a lot of faith. Guru upasadana then leads to Shravana, which is listening and receiving, importing information, and Manana, which is asking questions, seeking clarity, debating, and so on. Even arguing is Manana. Our scriptures give the authority to students to argue with the Guru when you don't agree with something. And the next step is Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is meditation or contemplation. And the clarity that emerges from Nididhyasana helps a person to focus and to immerse. Focus is concentrating the mind to a single point, chitta ekagratha. And immersion is nothing but sannyasa. Without that immersion, perfection cannot be attained. Oftentimes we think sannyasa is something, which is totally giving up on everything, renunciation. That is not entirely true. But immersing in something so that you are able to get that perfection, immersing in the subject matter, that is essentially sannyasa. A person who immerses completely is a sannyasi. That gives the person complete focus, complete dedication, ekagrata. And Nididhyasana then leads to clarity of thought, which is nothing but samabuddhi.